How's it going, Gumi Gang? Welcome back to the channel. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, whatever you guys celebrate during this time of the year. I hope you have a great holiday. I haven't uploaded earlier during the week because of that. I've been spending time with my girlfriend and my family and all that good stuff. So I haven't really uploaded, but today that's going to change. We're going to be talking about a shotgun that's probably scarred you for a while since it ever came out, and that is the Lockwood 300 with the dual trigger specifically. The dual trigger took the world by storm. It got nerfed really hard. It came back. You could use it in this mode, not in this one. It got another nerf. It was just like all over the place. But this thing got adjusted not too long ago in the world of Warzone, and so I want to talk about it specifically because they did some things that I actually recommended that they do, which is pretty cool. We're going to talk about if it has a one-shot potential at all, what attachments to run, all that good stuff. So if that sounds good to you, make sure to check the timestamps below if you want to hop to a certain part of the video. With all that being said, let's just go ahead and talk about what exactly changed in that patch that I'm referring to. So if we take a look at what changed, the first thing you'll notice is the maximum damage was decreased from 50 to 28. Not a fan of this change because this isn't specific to the dual trigger, it's the base gun. I don't feel like it's necessary. I don't know why they keep nerfing the base gun at all. It was already such a terrible gun. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of this change, but we'll get into that later. The Maelstrom dual trigger though, this is where it gets important. The maximum damage was decreased from 100 to 50. Now, if you're math inclined, you'll notice that this no longer deals 300 damage because you deal 50. The most you can actually do, and if you shoot at the body with the multipliers and everything, the most damage you do is 260 points of damage. So the big thing here is this is no longer a one-shot shotgun. I know a lot of you probably bummed about that, but there is actually a way to get a one-shot on this, which I'll share soon. There's a couple ways actually, which one of them might be an oversight, but anyway, this thing no longer one-shots, it's a two-shot, and in fact, its max damage range got extended from 2 meters to 7.62. What that basically means is you deal 260 damage all the way to 7.62 meters, which is kind of an enormous amount of damage for that far. And this was actually something I recommended they do a while back where I talked about how to balance this thing out. I said remove its one-shot potential, give it a really good two-shot potential, and in that range, it just does a ton of damage. And since it has such a long reload, it'll kind of balance itself out. And that's exactly what they did. And honestly, I'm pretty happy about it. They also reduced the minimum damage from 32 to 25. So that means outside of its two-shot potential, meaning 7.62 meters, it's going to be about a three-shot, which isn't the greatest. But of course, this is really cool to see because they really shot themselves in the foot when they introduced a one-shot shotgun. It was really hard to balance. There's of course ways to balance it, but they made it really difficult and a lot of people were just unhappy with it. So this is an idea I recommended and I'm happy to see something like this actually got implemented. Keep in mind, you're doing 260 damage out to 7.62 meters. That's a lot of damage out to a pretty good distance. No other shotgun can deal that much damage that far with a solid shot. It is a lot. Now, if you do remember, I did mention there was some one-shot potential still in this gun. Of course, Slugs is one of those ways with a headshot, but the other one, which is in my opinion, probably an oversight because there's no way this is intended, Dragon's Breath, if you equip it, you'll be back to where it was before. You deal 100 damage per pellet, you're basically one-shotting still. If you aim down sights, it's a 4-meter one-shot, otherwise it's a 3-meter one-shot. This absolutely seems like an oversight to me. I highly doubt that they wanted to keep this a one-shot with Dragon's Breath, especially also considering the two-shot with Dragon's Breath basically overwhelms the base gun's two-shot, so it makes it kind of pointless in all regards. So in my opinion, if you want a one-shot shotgun, go ahead and use Dragon's Breath while it's available, but don't get too used to it. It's probably going to catch a nerf. In my opinion, this was probably an oversight, but yes, it does still exist, and you can one-shot to the body with Dragon's Breath. Now, Slugs is also another great way to run this gun. It's a lot harder though because obviously it's Slugs, you shoot two at one time, but essentially with body shots, you can actually get two-shot body shots out to around like 15 meters, which is really good. And I'm not saying two-shot isn't one shot from the gun with both slugs at the same time. I'm saying two slugs go flying from the gun, you reload another two, that's your two-shot potential. Now with slugs, you can also get a one-shot kill out to about 6 meters with a good placed headshot up close. It's actually about 5.6, I believe, but this is actually really cool to see. And with slugs, I'm totally fine with how they're balanced. They're difficult, but they're pretty rewarding. You just got to get used to how they feel, and it can be really devastating in the right hands, especially with that small one-shot kill range and a great two-shot potential, as long as you're actually hitting your shots well. Now, if you got used to this thing being a one-shot, you're going to use this and immediately feel like, oh man, this is way harder to use. And yes, it is, granted, but one of the most deadly ways you can use this thing is if you have a gun in your back pocket. All you have to do, basically crack their armor with your Lockwood 300 and immediately switch to that gun in your back pocket, whether it's a PP-19 or whatever it is, or it's a pistol like the Krakova. Just start blasting them with that secondary weapon and they're going to die pretty quick. It's just, you deal so much damage, 260 again, they're going to have like 40 health left over if they're not already dead, that it just basically makes it to where not a lot is going to kill them, so they die pretty much instantly. It's really effective, especially if you're peeking corners. You peek the corner, shoot them, break their armor, go back into cover, slide out with an SMG, be, man, it's incredibly deadly. So it's a really fun way to play, although it is a little bit harder since it doesn't one-shot. This is still going to be a fun gun to use, although it's not super practical in a lot of ways, especially in like quads and stuff. It is super fun still to use, and I actually kind of prefer it this way since it doesn't feel as much of a give me kind of kill at like 5 meters or something like that. As far as the best class to run, there's a few different ways you can go, but this is the one I've been rocking. Now, I am rocking the second to largest barrel because for some reason the 812 barrel that gives you the most range, it basically won't let you tack stance, which isn't a deal breaker. If you're okay with fully aiming down sights, go for it. But if you like to tack stance, you're going to have to use something else because that barrel, for whatever reason, blocks your ability to tack stance with this dual trigger. So I've been rocking the 711. It's still got a great 2-shot potential. I mean, we're talking a 9-meter 2-shot with this thing, or rather 9 meters is where you can deal 260 damage to, hit fire or aim down sights. Incredibly deadly. And of course, we're rocking the Maelstrom dual trigger, the high stock mod, and my favorite laser, the Kimura RAL 33 laser light. As for my overall thoughts on this change, I'm actually pretty happy with it. I think they found a cool balance of it, and I'm actually happy that they took my advice and made it to where it's just a really strong gun at really far distances, even though it's maybe not super far for most people, but it's just really fun. And I know it's going to be harder to use. When you use it, you're immediately going to be like, man, how is that not a kill? I get it, you're just used to the one shot, but trust me, if you're picking people off at like a little bit longer distances, like this is sort of a pump action now, it's incredibly fun, and you can hit multiple people with your gun and still do a ton of damage. It's just a really fun way to play the game, and even though it's not going to be crazy overpowered like you're one-shotting at 10 meters or something, it's a lot of fun, and it's a really cool way to balance it out, and I'm honestly pretty happy with it. I could see them maybe making it a little bit longer rather than just 7.6 meters, but this is a fair trade-off. I'm pretty happy with it for now since you can stack attachments on it. So overall, I'm fairly happy with it. I know Dragon's Breath is probably going to get a nerf. Slugs will probably be okay, but Dragon's Breath absolutely going to catch a nerf. So if you want an absolute one-shot shotgun, Dragon's Breath is probably the way to go. Otherwise, have fun with this new beast. Get used to it. Switch to your secondary if you need to really quick. Otherwise, just have fun with it and try something new. And that is just about going to do it for this video. So as always, down below in the comments, I want to know, what do you guys think about these changes? Do you think that it's actually a good change, or do you miss the one-shot potential? Are you happy that Dragon's Breath is still a one-shot potential? And with all that being said, I will see you guys in the next video.
Target down, marking the rest of them. Spy fail active. Spy station.